What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is Sunday, July 30th. We have reached the end of July, meaning we're about 12 days away from Washington's preseason opener at the Cleveland Browns, and about 42 days away from the predicted sold-out FedEx Field for week 1 of the regular season against the Arizona Cardinals. Our Commanders opened up training camp this week in a scorching week. I mean scorching. 4 practices were had this week. The first one was closed to the public. 2 days in which I attended, and yesterday's back together Saturday, which included over 10,000 fans at the park, and the vibes are back and immaculate at Ashburn, at Ortho Virginia Training Center at Commanders Park. It is a scene that I haven't seen anything close to since RG3's first couple practices back during the 2012 season, because it was euphoric that year. I remember being at RG3's first training camp practice. That shit looked like Obama's inauguration. Like, it was real, and it feels good, the atmosphere at practice right now. It doesn't feel like practice. Like, shit, the turnout looks like some of the preseason game fan turnout that I've seen over the years of being a season ticket holder for the team right now. But you love to see it. It's a grueling week of practice, but we out there, though. We out there, and I'm glad football is back. It's my favorite time of year. But the sun is out there whooping our ass. I mean, the sun is whooping ass more than Terrence Crawford put on Errol Spence last night. If you watch the fight, you know exactly what I mean. Bud took it to do all night. It wasn't competitive at all. It was like watching an adult fight a child. Errol Spence probably at this exact moment doesn't realize there was a fight last night. And neither do we, because Bud whooped his ass. That's how the sun treated us in camp all week, because goddamn, if you were out there, you know exactly what I mean. I know them players were feeling it, because as a fan, we were just out there getting baked. I felt like a rotisserie chicken just rolling around watching football practice. There were some points in the practice where I couldn't even lock in and focus on what was happening on the field, because the sun was just baking my brain. But I enjoyed it. Glad I got to see all my people out there, my boys from the group chat, Jalen, Tay, Todd, my guy Josh Taylor down from Austin, Texas, bringing the vibes, always curating the vibes at camp. It's been our 3rd year of training camp takeover. We did it in Richmond, we did it in Ashburn last year, and now we're doing it in Ashburn again. But man, you can feel it. The vibe, everyone feels the energy of the new ownership taking helm here. The media, they're much more upbeat, chipper, less likely trying to concoct bulletin board material from the guy. It seems like good cohesion from the media and the team. It seems like they're all working in lockstep. It feels like a new vibe in DC. We almost feel like a goddamn expansion team, because the vibes are just lifted again now that Dan Snyder is out of town, man. But you love to see it. You love to see it, man. But the return of the fan base is something that you cannot sleep on. I mean, there's been diehards like myself, the hog farmers, all the other content creators that have been there 10 toes down, despite Dan being a dickhead and owning this team like a fantasy football team for the last 24 years. But the casuals, the Dan detractors, the people who have given up on the franchise, they've returned in full force, and we're all uniting like the Avengers to take our team back into the hands of the fans. And you can feel it, man. Over 10,000 at practice yesterday. I wasn't there. Honestly, I was cooked from the sun from the last 2 days, and I didn't want to deal with that shuttle situation with all the amount of people that was going to be there. I'll be out there again next week, but because, you know, we're out there in the trenches, you know. I like to get out there and get content for you guys, you know. I'm not on my Spygate shit, but I'm going to get y'all content. It's practice, man. There's film of practice, and people can find film of every team. So miss me with the Spygate shit, but if I'm there, y'all there too. I'm bringing y'all with me. So, yeah, man, but despite the fact that the weather was nasty work, Practice has been good. They've been getting after it. And next week is the real deal. Pads go on and they will be getting after it. And by the way, before we start talking about my specific observations from practice last week, speaking of nasty work, Don Geronimo of Big 100 Radio, the team's new radio partner, because they left 106.7 and 980. He got fired yesterday after some disparaging, ridiculous, sexist, sexual-ish comments about friend of the show, Charlotte McBride of WUSA 9. Love Charlotte. She's a sweetheart, great journalist. Yes, she's very good looking. She's very good looking, but the comments he made on radio, they're not going to fly these days, calling her Barbie, saying some shit about her body and stuff. There's a time and a place, my friend, and it's not on the radio, especially when you're the radio partner of the team. Jason Wright and company barred them from practice, kicked their ass up out of Ashburn, and then he got the boot after recently getting a extension on his radio channel. You hate to see it, but also you love to see it, man. Talk to people nice when you're on the park. It's a new day in D.C., and we don't move like that. All of that nasty boy business can get the hell out of town. Ask Larry Michael. Matter of fact, don't ask him. We don't want to know what he's up to these days, but I predicted something nasty. But on the football things, though, a lot of football was practiced this week, and I have a lot of observations from what I've seen so far, but the main idea is that the tempo and the atmosphere is different. Ron Rivera looks rejuvenated. He looks like the world has been lifted off his shoulders. He's the happiest man in Ashburn right now. You can see it. He's letting it show. The chest is poking out a little different. He looks svelte. His skin looks clear. The smile is there. And just listen to his tone and inflection when he's speaking to the media. He's at peace. He has been made at peace for the 2023 season. He's at peace with what comes because regardless of how the season turns out, he can just coach now. He can just coach, and honestly, he can just sit back and just monitor what his coordinators are doing. He doesn't have to wear every hat for the organization. He doesn't have to speak about the name change, about allegations, about investigations, about whatever nasty boy Daniel was up to. Ron had to wear a lot of hats. He doesn't have to wear those hats anymore because Josh and company has it all covered now. All the bases covered. And you can see it, man, the way Ron's moving about camp. Yesterday, he looked over the fans and said, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?" Like Maximus Decimus from Gladiator. Top 3 movie of all time for me. One of my favorites. Ron quoting Gladiator on day 4 of practice. Love to see it. But let's talk about football. Observation number 1. EB is every bit as intense as advertised. There is one thing you hear. No, there are 2 things you hear through the majority of Washington Commanders training camp practice. You hear a combination of music coming from the loudspeakers, and you hear Eric Bieniemy on their ass the entire practice. But he's not just yelling to yell. It's beneficial things. But EB is as intense as advertised, man. He's on him. He's a stickler for details, detail-oriented. He knows the magnitude this season, 2023, has for his future, Ron's future, and the short-term success of this franchise. Because we know what the defense is. The mystery, the thing we want to know is how good can the quarterback be, and in totality, how well can the offense play and improve from what they did last year, because we went 8-1, and the offense is pretty much the main contributor as to why we didn't win 10 or 11 games last year. And most importantly, the play from the quarterback position between Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke last year, which held the team back. I like the EB Sam Howell dynamic because Sam Howell ties into this subject because the growing pains of a young quarterback tied into a new offensive coordinator, that's the main idea I've taken away here. And after every throw, Sam immediately goes back to Eric Bieniemy to check on, did I make the right read? Did I hit my hot route? Was there something you seen? Was the play surmised? Was the verbiage correctly in the huddle? Seeing that play out in person, it was nice to see. And the growing pains of Sam Howell, you get the full experience. I wasn't at practice yesterday, but yesterday is a day that he struggled in front of 10,000 fans, and that's going to happen. That is okay. These things got to happen. The pick he threw to Emmanuel Forbes yesterday, it was atrocious, but it has to happen. This is where he has to make these mistakes to know what he can and cannot do. And that interception came because of pressure. And we're going to get to the offensive line last. We're going to get to them because I have a few points I want to get to before we get there. But if you've seen the pick he threw to Emmanuel Forbes yesterday, he threw it a mile behind Terry, who had Forbes beat on the crossing route. Forbes jumped it, took it to the crib. It happens. Sam's going to have those. But Sam, the first 3 days of camp, he's had some very balanced days. He threw his first pick on the third day, but to Cam Curl, but he's looked good. Sam's looked good. And I will say, as a person who has been to more than half of the practices the last 2 years of training camp, his highs look significantly better than the highs of the other guys we've had here. I don't need to go through the laundry list of dreck that we've had at the quarterback position over the last couple of years, but his highs look better than all those guys. And coming from a 23-year-old quarterback, that is something that should instill confidence in you. Sam's lows look like young quarterback lows. And like my guy, Chuck G, shout out to my guy on Twitter, said, the defense gets paid too, and the defense is the better, more put together, more loved, intended to unit of the two. So expect them to dominate, especially in a setting without pads in which the offense cannot really initiate true contact with the guy. We're going to get a better read on how good or bad the offensive line is next week when they put pads on the guys, because I remember in 2021, a couple years ago, I watched how Montez Sweat and Chase Young dominated Sam Cosmi his rookie year before they put the pads on. When they put the pads on, it was a more even playing field, and Sam Cosmi started to get in their ass a little bit. No pause necessary. We're talking football over here. Y'all know what the hell I mean. But yeah, man, take number 2. Since we're talking about the defense is absurd, and it is not a reach to feel that we should be a top 3 elite defense in most metrics this year, because I didn't always feel it was as good last year. They were top 5 in most NFL metrics last year. With a healthy Chase Young and Montez Sweat to go with Daron Payne, John Allen, and the sleeping giant who missed the entire season after 2 possessions last year for Darian Mathis out of Alabama. We have an Alabama wall in the middle and 2 edge rushing guys who are playing for their next contract, their big contract of their career, because nothing's bigger than the first contract you receive when your first round paycheck expires. They're both going for it. They're best friends. Recently coming off of practicing with Larry Johnson, the guy who made the Bosa brothers and Chase Young what they were at Ohio State. The defense looks fucking amazing, as they should, but they look as advertised. 99 looks back. Chase Young looks back. And I know what you're going to say. Rio, I see the switch up happening. Understand me when I say I'm critical of Chase Young because I know what he was supposed to be coming out. And I'm going to be hard on guys from the area that are supposed to be great. And it's our job as fans to expect greatness from them. No, he was not going to be as great as he could have been coming right off the injury, but we need to see Chase Young reach a different level. Like we're saying we want 10 sacks from him. 10 sacks isn't even enough if we're keeping it a whole beam. We're keeping it 100. Chase Young's talent and capabilities, if fully maximized, is a 14-plus sack a season guy. Ryan Kerrigan has given me 13, 14 sacks in a season before. Chase Young is uber talented. He's supremely gifted in physical nature. It is okay that we expect 14 plus sacks of this guy, because that's what I know his mama and his sister that I see at the stadium. They expect it. Chase expects it. His father expects it. His people from Ohio State expect it. The people that knew him at DeMatha, they expect it. I think we might be finally there because Chase looks fucking explosive. He looks like the confidence is back, and his first step, my. Charles Leno wants no part of Chase Young's first step post knee brace. Post knee brace Chase looks like 2020 Chase, the one that was wrecking games, wrecking them. I remember the Carolina game. He was the only person that kept us in the game his rookie year. He gave Teddy Bridgewater nightmares the entire game. The one who wrecked the game versus Nick Mullins when we played the 49ers, where Chase Young was in the backfield every play of his 2020 season. Chase looks back. He looks poised, and he's bringing the energy. He's getting the crowd into it. He's feeling himself. And it's a different person, different demeanor, and different body language as the Chase Young I saw last year in training camp, who seemed to be mostly focused on his leg. You can tell in his movements he was thinking about his knee the entire time. He's playing free, and he's getting after it, and you can tell. And the guy opposite him, number 90, Montez Sweat, he's all business. You don't hear anything from him except for the barking that he does at the offensive line, because Montez always talks that shit when they're rushing in practice. But 99 and 90 look amazing, man. They pulled out a 5 D-line, 6 DB set on third down versus the offense on the second day, and me and Josh looked at each other like, how do you block that? So it was Big Phil, John Allen, and Daron Payne flanking him, with Chase and Montez on the 2 edge spots and 6 DBs on the field. My, what a sight. Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, and Cam Curl at the safety, with St. Juice in the slot and Forbes and Fuller on the outside. What do you do with that set? Oh, and speaking of the secondary, let's get to them next. The secondary is flying the fuck around. They are playing with their hair on fire. Cam Curl, he's getting straight to that action, boss. Even when asked by Nikki Jabwala of the Washington Post about his contract situation, he said, to be perfectly honest, I don't have time to be thinking about that. All I can think about is football. That's where my brain is at. And you can see it as he caught Sam Howell's first interception of the preseason training camp session of the offseason. Cam looks good. Derek Forrest is ready to build on a breakout season he had last year. Benjamin St. Juice, who they've been playing primarily on the inside, looks like a rejuvenated guy. He looks like he wants to get some picks. He wants to get his first interception of his career. That rookie, Emmanuel Forbes, bad motherfucker, man. That guy runs step for step with everybody. He looks like a praying mantis who weighs 120 pounds soaking wet on the football field, but the football looks great. He's there. He's there every play. Even when he gets beat by guys like Terry and Jahan Dotson, he's there. He's there all day. He's ready. He's iced out. I love the swagger, because to play that position, to me, which is the second hardest position in the sport after quarterback, you're guessing every play. And he's an elite guesser. And he looks good with his chains coming out of his practice jersey. Kendall Fuller looks spry. The breakout player for the second year in a row, it looks like we're going to have another breakout coming from the safety position. Safety, Buffalo nickel, slot hybrid. Percy Butler looks great, man. Last year, the only real playing time he got was on the punt team. But that year of patience and getting acclimated into the speed of the NFL looks like it has worked. And we can use a 4-3 guy out in that secondary to pair with Emmanuel Forbes with that type of speed, because he looks every bit of 4-3, and he looks like he's playing without overthinking this year. He looks like a crucial part to the defense. The secondary flying around. Next observation, Cody Barton, through 1 week of practice, is clearly the number 1 linebacker on this football team right now. He's the Mike. He's the guy in the middle. He's the green dot. He looks like the most impressive linebacker through 1 week. Yes, I know Jamin Davis, who missed most of the spring, they're getting him reacclimated. So they had him running with the 2s. So they had Cody Barton and Khaleke Hudson running a lot of the 1s work. Not to worry, not to fret that we didn't see Cody Barton with the 1s in the offseason, because Cody Barton's the guy in the middle. He looks good. Got him a pick yesterday off Sam, I believe, as well, off of De'Ami Brown deflection or some shit like that. But Cody Barton looks good. He looks the part. It's 1 week of practice. We got to see what it looks like in games, but don't think we're going to be missing Cole Holcomb too much if guys are healthy, but that's an early observation. Cody Barton really looks good. Jamin looks really good in coverage. He looks like he's finally starting to get it, and all eyes are on Jamin because Jamin has to give me 130 tackles this year. He has to show me why we need to pick up his 5th-year option. He has to show me this year. It's year 3, huge year for Jamin. Excited to see this linebacker group. Will it finally not be? If the linebacker group takes a step, this is a top 3 defense. They may be top 2 and not 2 because, man, look at all these first-round picks. We got 6 first-rounders out of the 11 starters. Then we got some second-rounders. There is talent galore on the defensive side of the ball. So to put a bow on the defense so far, the defense looks every bit primed to dominate in 2023. But, man, the tight end position, Logan Thomas looks good. Logan Thomas looks really good. And Cole Turner doesn't even look like a tight end anymore. He looks like a wide receiver after the dropping of body fat that he did this offseason. Hopefully that plays into better health for him because I want to see him on the field because he's the change of pace dynamic guy with Armani Rogers going to the season-ending IR. Cole Turner looks good. Jump ball catcher. He looks slim. He's the vertical go up and get it basketball player guy that we have here. And EB is trying to get the ball to as many hands as possible here. The tight end, even John Bates looks active in the passing game as we speak right now. But the most impressive position I see out of camp on the offensive side, we already know what the wide receivers are, but it's the running back group. Brian Robinson Jr. looks amazing. He looks like he's in incredible shape. He's lean. He's a lean machine. The boy is getting in and out of his hole so decisively. There is no wasted movement, and he has impressed me so much as a pass catcher. Yes, I know my tweet had a typo the other day. I said pass rusher. I meant to say pass catcher. We're not putting Brian Robinson on the line to rush quarterbacks. Excuse my jargon on Twitter. I wish the edit button worked for non-blue Twitter, but back or X Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it now. But Brian Robinson Jr. looks phenomenal. And the emphasis that they are putting using him as a pass catcher, man, they're lining him up on the outside. They're throwing him passes. He's running wheel routes. He's running crossers, and he's catching them all. He has natural hands. He wants to drop the titling of power back from his resume. He wants to be a feature all-around guy, and he has put in the work to show Eric Bieniemy, I'm here to stay, and I want to dominate. 1,200 yards for B-Rod coming up, bro. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. And we're going to have to get that run game going because my closing point of observations from training camp, from the 2 days I attended and the 2 days we've heard about, but I didn't attend, is that the offensive line needs work, but don't panic. They haven't put the shoulder pads on yet. They haven't put the pads on. They're just running out there with shells and practice jerseys, and that gives the advantage to the defense. But the O-line definitely needs some work. The shortcomings of Sam Howell in the practices that I've seen are that he misses high at times, but it's not the same missing high that I've seen from Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, and Dwayne Haskins. Sam misses high when he's under pressure, and he misses high to the point that it's not going to get intercepted by anybody. Most of his misses are put in a place where if the receiver doesn't catch, nobody's going to get the ball. Guys miss high and throw the ball straight to safeties and shit like that. When Sam misses, the ball's going to the gates of heaven. But most of his misses come from being immediately pressured, and obviously they're going to get their ass beat by guys that they can't hit. They're not about to go clavicle to clavicle and start clashing collarbones without shoulder pads on. There's but so much linemen can do with their hands with no pads on. And with a dominant line like Sweat, Young, Allen, Payne, Mathis, Ridgeway, all those dogs up front, there's but so much the offensive line can do. I'm interested to see the left guard battle play out. Chris Paul has seen some time with the ones over the last couple days. Sadiq still has the edge at the moment. Nick Gates hobbled off the field yesterday, but I believe he's all right. But to see more of it this week. I'm not sure which days I will be attending, but I know I'll be there Wednesday because my boo, everybody's love of their life from NFL media, Kay Adams, she'll be at Ashburn. She'll be up Ortho Virginia Training Center to watch some Commanders practice. I got to be there when Kay's there. I got to meet Kay, and I got to put my bid in to get her on the show because that's a dream pool for me. Love Kay Adams. Love what she's doing over there with the Up and Adams podcast for FanDuel. Love her. And I'll be back out there a couple times next week. Not sure. Got to see what my schedule is looking like for the week. But the quarterback's going through growing pains, but he looks good. Jacoby Brissett is like an assistant coach in uniform. He's there explaining things to Sam. He looks solid as well. He looks the part of the adamant professional backup quarterback. I don't think he's a threat at all. There's not a real quarterback competition. Sam would have to go through like a week or two of looking like he did yesterday for him to not be the starter for this team because he's looked good. His highs looked really good. He looks sharp. He's decisive. Like I said, he doesn't put the ball in dangerous places most of the time. And the deep ball is beautiful. And I think his legs will be a focal part of the offense. I'm not calling him Jalen Hurts, but I think there will be some Hurts-esque play calling in the red zone goal line area because our boy can scoot and he runs with power and he picks his running lanes decisively on plays where he tucks it and run. He runs with a plan. He's not running with like a chicken with its head cut off, and he's not a statue like that big 11 guy we had last year. Last note from the quarterback room, Jake Fromm sucks. We already knew that, though, but that's enough on him. Let me chill on him. But the offense, the receivers, not much to talk about. Kazmir Allen, he's somebody they want to get in the mix in the wide receiver room. They're getting the ball to him early, often, and they're mixing him in with the ones and the twos. So he's a guy to watch on those last couple available receiver spots. De'Ami Brown, first couple of days of camp, he's looked great. He's made a big play every day. And Sam Howell, being his college buddy, he forces the ball to De'Ami when De'Ami comes in, but he actually gets it to him. One of Sam's picks, though, were calls because De'Ami Brown didn't hold in a pass, kind of like reminiscent of last year's preseason game versus the Ravens. And speaking of Baltimore, man, I can't wait for them joint practices in that preseason game on a Monday night. That week is going to tell us a lot about the offensive line and the quarterback. All the questions we have when we go up against a team supremely gifted like the Baltimore Ravens and such a well-run organization, when we see how we stack up against a legitimate AFC contender, we will know a lot about our football team. Do we belong? Are we as elite defensively as we thought we were? In the secondary, they will be getting so much smoke from Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman, and that crew over there in Baltimore. I cannot wait to see us get to open practice. But what we're looking for in week 2 of Washington Commanders training camp, how does the O-line look once the pads come on? Because it's real now. Things are real, and will they continue to struggle, or will they even the playing field and give smoke and meet resistance with resistance and get it cracking this week in practice? I'll be looking forward to all those things. Can't wait to see what happens during week 2 of Washington Commanders camp, and I cannot wait to get back out to Ashburn and enjoy the vibes and aesthetic of the new Commanders training facility, because it looks like a whole new world out there. Word to Ariel and the Little Mermaid. It's a whole new world. The bleachers, the VIP section of the bleachers with the tinted area, they're serving cocktails and finger foods, hors d'oeuvres with alumni walking around. I seen Fred Davis, Rock Cartwright, Mike Sellers, Mark Mosley, all types of people I've never seen just walking around Washington events. It's all back. It's all returned. It's time to bring this franchise back to glory. 1 week of training camp and the Josh Harris era is underway. I love what I saw. I love what I heard. And I love being ingratiated by the rest of the fan base. And I can't wait to get boots on the ground, word to Jalen, back in Ashburn next week to enjoy another week of Washington Commanders practice. That's all I got for right now. Make sure y'all like, comment, and let me know what you are interested to see in practice and what y'all want me to pay attention to when I'm back in Ashburn watching practice in person. Let me know in the comments. Tell a friend to subscribe to Rio Robinson on YouTube for anything Washington Commanders. We're about 345 subscribers away from 8,000 and about 2,400 away from my first big YouTube milestone of 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube platform. Here's where you want to come for all the raw, unfiltered, objective fandom and analysis of Washington Commanders football. It's your boy, Commander Rio, out.